Children aged 14 and over who commit violent crimes in Victoria could face longer sentences as the government looks to crack down on youth crime. Legislation is set to be introduced to Victoria Parliament, which could see young people handed adult prison sentences. So let's get more on this. Victorian State political reporter Richard Willingham joins us now from Melbourne. Richard, how will this work?
Well, Gemma, the laws basically will be changed that any 14-year-old or above that is charged with a series of violent offences, including aggravated carjacking, aggravated home invasions, other violent offences with machete, will not be tried in the children's court. They will be tried in the adult courts and will be given adult sentences. And they will serve that time in both youth prison and adult prison, depending on their age. Now, this is quite a significant step, and part of it, they will be uplifting the maximum jail time for some of these crimes, including aggravated carjacking and home invasions, to life imprisonment. So theoretically, a 14-year-old could be sentenced to life in prison for some of these offences in those really extreme circumstances. Now, the government says it will introduce legislation this year. There's only 3 sitting weeks to go before the summer break, and it wants these laws in effect by 2026, of course, 2026 being an election year.
And why is the government doing this?
Well, look, it's been grappling for a long time with rising crime rates, in particular rising youth violence crime rates. There's been obviously some very high profile and some pretty horrific murders. There was a 12-year-old who was hacked to death with a machete suspected by other youth offenders. There's been a series of home invasions across the state, violent home invasions, people getting hurt. It's traumatising a lot of victims. And the government basically says enough is enough. It's been pressured for a long time on this, saying that the government's been accused of being weak on crime. It's allowed this problem to fester and happen. And there's been pressure internally on the Premier to get on with some action. And this sort of came a little bit out of the blue in terms of the extremity of how tough these laws are. We thought there would be some sentencing reform coming. They've had a roller coaster of bail reforms over the last couple of years, but this is unexpected in terms of how significant and how tough these laws are. There was only signed off on Cabinet yesterday. The legislation still isn't drafted. The Premier says that this is needed to make people feel safe in their home and to stop this scourge of a really brazen, violent offending, which she says the police haven't seen before. Let's take a listen.
Police tell us that this is a new type of crime that constantly requires new interventions. There are no easy solutions here, and that includes consequences. We know that children, as parents, we know that children need to face consequences when they do the wrong thing. And so consequences also must apply in the justice system.
Richard, how are experts reacting?
Well, experts are unsurprisingly not very supportive of this idea. It's only just been sort of released, this idea, but the evidence, experts say, is that this will just set up young people for a life of crime. If you send young people to prison at the first opportunity, then they are likely to become recidivist offenders. The other experts say, well, the government has failed as a society. The government and society has failed to actually intervene to stop these young people committing crimes in the first place. So I think there was a coroner's report recently that found a lot of young people dying of knife crime and committing knife crime offences are from vulnerable communities, from migrant communities that don't have the support around them. So there's a lot of work to be done there. The government says that will happen. There will be more extra intervention programs coming. We don't know what those are yet. And so, there's a lot of caution being thrown to this. MPs are broadly welcome. The opposition say that this doesn't go far enough and Labor can't be trusted. Let's have a listen to what one criminologist thinks about the plan.
All the literature which I have ever come across over the last few decades says that punitive approaches which are based on our punitive urges that we feel as normal community members unfortunately don't work. They make us feel better, and the government does seem to be doing the right thing by the members of the community by imposing these tough laws. But the reality is that all of the evidence that I have ever come across says that these do not work in the long term. What does seem to work is culturally specific approaches, innovative approaches, therapeutic approaches, and basically long-term approaches.
Now, the Premier is she's unmoved by that sort of analysis from experts. She says this is about victims. She's said she's been moved by the constant stream of victims that approach her office that she's spoken to. She even started her press conference today reading out an email from a victim of crime who was stabbed in their own home trying to stop a car thief who was 16 years old. She says this is about victims and about making the community be safe and feel safe. Gemma?
Victoria State political reporter Richard Willingham, thank you.